Hi guys, Trusz here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a PvT between Hero and Jakshi. Now, picking this replay to cast was actually kind of easy for me, just looking right away at the title of the replay and the two players that we were going to see. Hero versus Jakshi just sounds like you're in for a really strong, high-level game. It's the kind of game that you wouldn't be surprised to see in the GSL. Even though Jakshi has fallen off somewhat recently, last year, about the same time last year actually, he was on top of the world, being the extremely young winner of GSL. And Hero has been showing us consistent performance, even if not at the extremely highest level of winning top-tier tournaments, for quite some time now. Getting into this game, we see spotting in the bottom left, Team Liquid's Hero, the blue Protoss, and in the top right, we see the purple Terran and his host's Jakshi. So, first of all, let's just talk about what we expect to see in general from either one of these two players. Jakshi tends to favor one base, more aggressive playstyle into a transition into a more macro-oriented game, if it even gets that far. It's not uncommon to see him doing all sorts of more aggressive strategies to take advantage of his opponent early, because something that Jakshi is extremely good at is his unit control and his ability to pick apart an opponent in the early portion of the game. Hero, on the other hand, tends to favor a strong macro style, while picking apart his opponent with really strong mechanics and a lot of effective multitask harass. Hero, of course, is someone who absolutely loves Warp Prism play, and he has extremely good unit control. It's really what he's known for being very good at. Right off the bat, we see Jakshi going for nothing too incredibly telling about his aggression. We see a Barracks going down on 12, followed by a gas, which he will get the 3 workers into immediately. And we see Hero opting for 1 gate into 2 gas. Although before we see whether or not he's going to commit 3 probes to each gas, we can't be sure how tech-heavy or economy-heavy Hero is going to be looking at. We do see him only putting 2 into gas right now, which means that he isn't looking to get too crazy at us in the early game, and there, of course, we see him following up with the Cybercore. Jakshi, on the other hand, still not showing anything more, although it's starting to look like he might not be going for a very early expansion. I wouldn't be surprised to see a factory, although because we don't see a second gas, it's not very likely that we're going to be seeing something like a starport play that would be showing us Cloak Banshee, or even Banshee in general, although Hellion drops have become increasingly common in the matchup. And then we do see the factory going down, and he's going to try and hide it here from Hero somewhat behind the smoke. But if we look, while Jakshi is scouting right now with the SCV that he had used to build his barracks, as we see a supply depot going down in the barracks, we see that Hero actually hasn't scouted at all. He currently has no vision of what Jakshi's doing other than the SCV that's poking around in his base, although it does look like he's now getting that probe out to scout. Still, he's not going to know whether or not Jakshi already has an expand going, or if he's going for something very aggressively all-in, or something more one-base aggression that isn't completely all-in, like what we see right now. We see Jakshi getting concussive shells, which means that we will be seeing Marauder play. Let's try and look at what he produces out of the factory shortly, and whether he goes up to a starport to try and get something like Medivacs to be dropping, or if he's just going to commit to Hellion and Marauder play. Now, keep in mind that while Hellion and Marauder tends to be weaker in the later stages of the game because they are units that don't shoot up, and you don't have the raw DPS of something like Marines, Hellion Marauder is very good in the early game because Marauders are tough to kill, and Hellions really can do a good job of ravaging probes and abusing the fact that a player might not have the unit or map control to be able to deal with Hellion aggression, especially if it's on multiple fronts. But again, these players are both very mechanically good when it comes to unit control, and we'll see how this plays out, as Hero is taking an expansion on 34 supply. He's going to have to hold whatever Jakshi's going to throw at him with this couple of Marines, Marauders with concussive shells, and the Hellions. However, he isn't pulling up Hellions here. It was possible, but instead we're going to see him start to push around the map immediately, and Hero still doesn't have any idea. He has the Zealot situated at the watchtower, but Jakshi very intelligently is going to bring the 2 Marines up beforehand to deny Hero's ability to see what's going on to the Marine and the Marauder. However, there we go. The probe is going to see a Marauder, and he sees Hellions, and now he sees SCVs being pulled, and he sees that the Marauder has the concussive shells upgrade, so now we have to look to Hero to see how he's going to prepare. Meanwhile, Jakshi does have the starport coming up in his own base. Hero has 2 sentries ready to force field the ramp, but he did a good job of keeping alive the sentry and Zealot, or the Stalker and Zealot, which is very important because if he loses these 2, his army's cut in half. That's a big deal when trying to defeat this early pressure, and it looks like Hero isn't going to cancel the base. I think he's going to try and defend here as he warps in another Stalker, and we'll see how well Hero can do. He does have 2 more gateways coming up, and he's going to have them turn into warp gates very soon. Nice force fields over here. He's going to be able to pick up one Marauder, but he is going to lose the Zealot pretty quickly, and now he has nothing to buffer for these two units. He's going to retreat his 3 sentries up the ramp to keep the Hellions from getting into his main mineral line, but down here it looks like Hero's going to lose these 2 Stalkers. He is going to be able to warp in on the high ground, but notice that already Hero's army isn't bigger than what it was when he started. His warp-ins aren't adding to his ability to defend. They're simply replacing units that he's already lost in the defense. We see a big pro pull here as Hero's going to try and probably get a surround on these units. He isn't able to pick this Marauder as Jackson does a great job of microing back, and this Stalker is going to get surrounded here. He takes out one. Jaxi's probably going to deny this other Stalker, and look at Hero's army just sort of dwindling away. I'm interested to see if Hero can actually put up a reasonable defense that doesn't even leave him too far behind as we see more units coming across the map for Jaxi and an expansion coming up. Ooh, another Stalker gets very nicely surrounded by Jaxi, and Hero's left with 2 Stalkers, 1 weak. He does have probes remaining down here to help him micro away here, and he's going to get this Marauder, or at least push it off for the time being, which means that these reinforcing Stalkers can hopefully be able to pick away at these 4 Hellions that are left. Ooh, but we do see Hellions getting into the main, and this could do a lot of damage to the probe line if Hero isn't very careful with the control. Thankfully, he is able to pick one off right away, and he does deny those 2 Hellions from causing him any further headaches. In the meantime, it looks like Jaxi with his expansion up is going to put off the stop with the pressure for now, but we do see him getting up more production. He has 2 more barracks on the way. He's floating his... Or, no, he's not floating his factory. He might be putting it back up on the high ground soon so that we can see him get more add-ons for his barracks, but right now we're just seeing him retreat. He has medevacs out, so it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Jaxi can abuse some of the common drop play things that we see on this map. Of course, we see a lot of times Terrans liking to go in behind the smoke, getting behind here, or even dropping over here while they see the Protoss unit on the ramp. Hero, in the meantime, took a significant deal of damage. He lost 12 probes trying to hold off that attack of Jaxi, and what we can see right now is Hero is only producing 2 probes. He doesn't have that much in the way of economy to back it up, and his Chrono Boost is going to be going, of course, into the Nexuses as he wants to re-establish his economy as fast as possible. We do ever see a medevac coming from Jaxi around here, probably to drop into Hero's main, and Hero has no vision of this. He doesn't have map control, no units on the map, no pylon here, and although we do see a robo coming up, we don't have any observer out yet, of course. And now the drop comes in here with good reaction time pulling the probes, but he's only warping in units right now. And 4 Marauders with a medevac to heal are going to destroy 2 warping in Protoss units, and Hero's coming in with 3 more Stalkers. But as long as Jaxi controls it correctly, Hero's still going to have a tough time. Look at how much just 1 medevac does to heal that Marauder. That one dies, a little bit sloppy by Jaxi not to pick it up, but he is able to tear through the units that Hero's bringing up. And what does Hero have? He has 3 sentries, he has a bunch of probes that he's bringing back up, and he has the Zealot, but that's it. Warping in 1 more Stalker. But look at how much damage Jaxi is doing. He has Stim on the way, he has infantry level weapons level 1 on the way, and he's still doing a great job of harassing Hero in his base and keeping Hero from really getting up the economy that he needs to support the production to fend off what Jaxi is doing. And if we look at the unit, if we take a look at the units tab, Jaxi is ahead by only 1 worker, but he does also have mules, and he has better infrastructure at home. He also has a bunker up so that if Hero did want to decide to put on pressure instead of trying to macro out of the situation, Jaxi would be reasonably well prepared, as he also is getting a Deepa wall up. He's also adding on even more production, which is making Jaxi a pretty scary threat with medevacs, a lot of barracks, and a really sizable bioforce moving out, while at the same time he's able to heal up these Marauders that he's been harassing Hero with. Hero does have 3 Stalkers nicely positioned to deny further drops, but that's really all it's taking away a lot from his army over here. The robotics bay is chronoing out an Immortal, which is good in that should have this Immortal out just in time to deal with this new force from Jaxi making its way across the map. But that means he's not getting an observer, which means he doesn't have vision here or here, which are very likely paces for Jaxi to continue with multi-pronged harass while he's moving this main force forward. Or he can even go for a very big drop if he thinks the Hero isn't going to be prepared for it. Because again, as we see, 4 Marauders, which now have Stim, or they should have Stim coming up very soon, are going to absolutely tear up these three Stalkers. Hero isn't able to deny the medevac. It would have been a very nice catch. He does have these Zealots trying to work away at these Marauders, but again, Jaxi picks up, and Hero has nothing to shoot up. Medevac gets away. And meanwhile, again, we see Jaxi pushing in. Hero does a good job of force fielding to segment his army, but look at that. The Hero has nothing to shoot up. I mean, sentry shoot up, but the tickle beam doesn't really count. And now Jaxi's free to move over here, and Hero doesn't have the vision to be everywhere at once. He has to move his army. He's getting pulled out of place. The Zealots are engaging one at a time, and Jaxi, with another Stim and good medevac support, is able to do his damage and leave. Meanwhile, he has a 3rd base started at home. Look at that. Jaxi not missing a beat on his macro. Even though he didn't have combat shield yet, he isn't really missing a beat on getting his expansions up and keeping his production up, while at the same time doing this wonderful job of harassing Hero, who's scrambling to get up more gateways, chrono out another Immortal, and it's going to be interesting to see how well Hero can hold this off and how he's going to be able to transition out of this, more importantly, assuming that he is able to hold it off. But we do see a lot of purple units streaming out across the map from Joxy, and really, we don't see a reason for him to stop this aggression as he, lots of stimmed bio going in the main of Hero. The Immortal at the front hopefully can't get taken out. Force Field does a decent job of funneling the Marauders away, but again, Joxy picks up, and what does Hero have to show for it? He's getting some damage done on the units in these medevacs, but that's about it, and that really doesn't mean anything when he's trading it for energy. An Immortal might get caught out. No, he does. He whiffs the Force Field, but thankfully Joxy retreats with a weakened bio before he's actually able to catch the Immortal. And Hero again being stretched to the limit. We have bio units coming up here. They're going to be able to snipe this one Immortal. Only 4 Zealots to do anything about it against 8 Marauders. And in the meantime, we see Hero has a couple of probes, a weak Marauder, and 3 sentries against this big army we see over here. He loses the Immortal, and Hero's falling rapidly. He's almost down to half the supply of Joxy. Joxy has stimmed bio everywhere. He has units in the main, but not his droppers. He's going to drop on the low ground. And now what does Hero do? He has all of his probes pinned here. He doesn't really have the production with the gateways to get more units out in time to deal with this bio that's knocking on his door, that's in his base. Joxy's still streaming more units across the map. Hero trying his best, but he has 3 Stalkers against all this bio from Joxy, and it looks like this might be where Joxy takes it. And there we see GG, Hero falling to Joxy in a very interesting game. Joxy, to recap what we just saw in that game, abused the fact that Hero didn't have that many units or any map control early. Just pick him apart. And if you look here, look at Hero's base. He doesn't have the production to deal with this. He's not getting any upgrades out of the forge because he just can't when he's dealing with this aggression. The Robo has to split its resources between trying to get observers to watch for the drops here and here. You also see an observer here versus getting Immortals to actually fend off all of this early bio. And as we see, whenever you have a small number of gateway units against a small number of Marauders in the early game, especially when they're in the process of warping in, and Hero was only on 3 gateways, Marauders beat gateway units when they're in bigger numbers, and 3 warp-ins will always be outnumbered by 4 Marauders being dropped in, especially with medevac support. We see that even with 2 or 3 Stalkers shooting at a Marauder, it's healed up almost all the way from those shots while the medevac's actively healing it. And we talk about how Hero didn't have the vision to deal with Joxy's harass. Joxy had the exact opposite. He had complete map vision, but he also had vision in Hero's base to know where Hero's units were going to try and fend off the next part of his attack. He had the factory here to spot what was going on near this ramp, and he had medevacs or even just units in Hero's base to see what's going on over here. So he can continue to get in, snipe some units, which is taking up Hero's warp gate production time and taking up his economy, and dwindling his army. And at the same time, he's not losing very much. And the thing about the way that Hero was playing was that, as we saw even in the very beginning, his warp-ins aren't fortifying his army, it's replenishing what he just lost in an effort to survive. And when he's stuck sacrificing 25 workers and still behind, that's when you get into a really rough position. Again, that's sort of what Joxy's good at, is taking apart an opponent really surgically with strong early game aggression. And Hero, who's no slouch, he's incredible with his unit control, incredible with his decision making, and really we've seen him put on some razor thin defenses in the past, but it just wasn't enough to deal with what Joxy had thrown at him today. Again, I've been Matt Trusz, and thank you so much for checking out this cast. I look forward to bringing you more, and keep on keeping on. Later.